Hi, I'm Alex Howard, and welcome to the show. My guest in the studio today is Ryan Spielman. Hey, Ryan.
Hi, Alex.
And Ryan is a yoga teacher and group facilitator of many years, and would describe himself as a spiritual enthusiast, I believe is the term. And I first met Ryan about 4 or 5 years ago when I went along to one of his yoga classes. And after going to his classes for a while, I heard him mention these evening groups that were happening. So I went along to one of these groups and over a period of time had some pretty interesting experiences. So we're going to get into some of that in today's interview. So Ryan, I know you now refer to what happens in these evening groups as the yoga of relating. What is the yoga of relating?
Well, maybe the best way to start to talk about it is what happened for me when I encountered these groups myself. So I was a yoga teacher for a while, and I considered myself a pretty enlightened dude. And
Technical term, that, I believe.
and quite peaceful. I had everything together. And then I went to one of these groups, and the process is being honest, is being as honest as you dare with everyone in the group, and in that process you sort of you get reflected back to yourself how other people are seeing you, and that basically shattered my world. It shattered my image of myself, and it was really painful at first, but I was so committed to just wanting to be an authentic person that I was willing to take the next step, and I was willing to hear what people had to say about me, and I was willing to start to dare to be authentic myself, and so after I fell in love with the process, I almost instantly realized, wow, this is how I want to live all the time. I want to be able to be myself, to be a natural person, to be vulnerable, to show people how I'm actually feeling, whether I'm angry or sad or happy. I want to be able to do that all the time with everyone. And so that's my utopian vision of the world, and that's kind of what happens in the groups. There's a lot to it, but really it's about being authentic in the moment, however you are, whatever's happening.
And that kind of honesty or authenticity is pretty rare in society. I mean, it's like, I think we're all used to different masks or different versions of ourselves that we show to people. And I think, certainly my experience, I think many people's experience is initially that kind of honesty, you said it shattered your world, it's terrifying to just nakedly and rawly share what's here.
Yes. Yeah, it doesn't, in a way it doesn't come natural to us because we're social creatures, and we want to fit in, and all of that is that's important. And it's also sort of practical and functional in the world to not, when you're paying for something at the counter, to share with the clerk how you're feeling about your day, and it's just not that practical all the time. But especially in our intimate relationships, with our friends and family, with people that we encounter on a daily basis, there's always room for more authenticity, for more vulnerability. Yeah.
So just to finish painting a picture of the group, so you have a group of people, and they do what? They sit in a circle and...
Yeah. So first I would say it's really about a way of being, and so the group process it's a bit contrived. We say, okay, we're going to sit down here for this period of time and do this thing, but really it's about practicing an approach to life where we would just, this is how we would live all the time. In the group, we sit down. Usually we take a few minutes to settle in, and we sit in silence often, and just the most important thing is being aware of what's going on for myself, for each individual. What's happening for you right now? So becoming aware of, your bodily state, your mental state, and acknowledging that. And so we sit in a circle. We sit for a little while, settle in, notice what's going on, and then for this particular group there, it's quite informal. Mm-hmm. So anyone can say anything at any time. It's conversational. So whoever feels to speak will share how they're feeling in the moment. It might be about themselves. It might be about some sort of relationship that's going on with someone else in the group. And it might be about life in general, their life, what's happening for them in their life at that time. We try and keep it to the moment as much as possible. And that's important because it's easy to get lost in the stories of our lives and our history. And sometimes that's really relevant to the moment. And other times it just feels dead. It doesn't have any life to it. It's that same story that we've been telling forever. We're complaining about, what happened when we were a child, and so what we're encouraging each other to do is find what's real for us, what's true for us in the moment.
And it's worth saying that part of how that is supported is that, let's say someone is sharing about something, as you say, that feels a bit dead that's going on in their life, that somebody in the group may then say, I feel bored of what you're saying. I feel like I don't feel connected with it. It feels like you're just telling a story. So there's an authenticity in response to someone's expression, which is often challenging to hear. Someone feels that they're greatly in their experience, and someone's like, I'm really bored, I'm not interested in what you're saying, I feel like I'm checking out. And I'm curious to hear a bit about the challenge of that. I guess both for the person sometimes saying that, but also to hear things like that.
Yeah. It's not always easy to hear. We always want to be validated for what we're saying, and I would say that my experience in these groups is that everyone is there for each other. So it's not about making people feel wrong or bad. But it is about being as honest as possible about how we're feeling. So, you can imagine you've got a friend, you care about them, and they're going on and telling their story, and you're a little bit bored. It happens. Sure. So in this group, we're allowed to say, "Hey, I feel bored in this moment," and that's relevant information for the other person. If you want to make a connection with other people, if you want to have an intimate relationship with another person, you want to know what's going on for them, and so that might only be true for one person in the group. Maybe everybody else is captivated, and that's also relevant.
And there's something to me about that aliveness that you never know what's going to come next. You know, it's like, I think we can get very used in day-to-day life of kind of having a conversation in a certain way, and we can steer it, or we kind of know where it's going to go. And there's something about that, taking a risk to share what's happening, what's coming up, with absolutely no idea what's going to happen in response to that. You know, and it's probably just worth saying as well, in painting a picture of these groups, there's no facilitator. So there's not somebody that kind of manages or organizes or kind of neatens up the process. There just is the process that happens.
Yeah, I would qualify that though, because there are several people in this work that we've been doing who have been a part of it for a long time. So I am the facilitator. Everyone is the facilitator, but especially if you've been doing it for a while, you get the hang of it, and so I wouldn't. It doesn't feel totally true to say that there is no facilitator. We're looking out for everyone, and I'm certainly looking out for each person in the group.
So I want to come back to this piece around really expressing truth and authenticity. And one of the ways I was curious to explore it, I'll just share a bit of an experience that I know you're aware of, that back when I was regularly coming to these groups, and there was a week-long retreat, and I was working with some material at this time around authenticity, but particularly authenticity around attraction and around expressing that. And I was in this group, and someone expressed an attraction to a woman that I felt attracted to. And just noticing all of the stuff that came up around not being in a role of, being a certain way to be attractive, to just be in the nakedness and the rawness of expressing that, with the risk of kind of showing that. And the reason why I was curious to bring it up is I remember for myself how terrifying it felt to just express that with no idea of what was going to happen, what was going to be received. And yet, on the other side of expressing it, suddenly it didn't actually matter what the response was. And just, it was like seeing over the other side of this wall, of kind of like, it's terrifying, and then the liberation on the other side of really expressing what's real.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that is the wonderful thing about this work is that the things that we're most afraid of, mainly being seen by other people, being vulnerable, and daring to say some of the difficult things that we're afraid of. It's a playground. We get to practice and experiment with those things, and nothing's life-threatening. So you can
might feel like it to the ego.
Sure,
sometimes.
Certainly, yeah. And so you can say it. You can give it a try, and if you're interested in knowing yourself and knowing how this whole organism works, then you get to witness the whole process, the fear, the saying it, all the wild emotions that come up around it, the energy, the connection with someone else. Did it work? Did it not work? You get to practice and experiment. So that is a wonderful thing, I'll leave it there.
I'm curious that you started off by saying that it shattered your world, and obviously I'm aware that's a decade at least ago. I guess more than that. I'm curious as to what effect this, because I guess it's more of a practice than it is about a group or whatever. This kind of practice and a way of approaching relationships, life. I'm curious as to how that's affected your life, in your experience, this deepening of authenticity.
Well, I'm so grateful for encountering this approach to life. I mean, it seems almost commonsensical. Let's be honest with each other, but it wasn't for me. I mean, I have a tendency to lie. I have a tendency.
You're alone.
Especially in this is very common, but in my relationships, my intimate romantic relationships, after a while, I don't want to say certain things just so we can go to bed without fighting, and I could go on, and I am compelled to challenge that tendency in me over and over again with this group, and also with the encouragement from other people in the group as I talk about my life and get reflections about where I'm not being honest or authentic.
And I guess it's also it's more than just where we're not being honest and authentic. It's also where we just can't see something. It's like we're caught in a lens of how we see something, and we get a mirror somehow that shows us something else.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so that was it was probably one of the biggest things that's ever happened to me, and I'm incredibly grateful for it. I don't know, sometimes I think, how would I be if I had never encountered this? Who would I be? I can't imagine life without having a group of people, a support group who I feel I can be totally and completely myself, and who challenge me to live like that.
Yeah. There's something also around deepening contact in friendship or relationship or whatever, where it drops beyond that surface thing that society teaches us that we need to do. And it seems to me there's something that's deeply more nourishing and satisfying about that kind of contact.
Mm-hmm. Yes. I feel often in the most intimate with someone, and sex is not involved at all, but someone has just shared themselves, and seen something about themselves, had a realization, or had been willing to take a risk right in front of my eyes, and I am so touched. I've had some of the most intimate moments of my life just sitting in these groups, watching people be themselves.
Yeah. Can you say something as well about the tension between authenticity and truthfulness, and the place where that can also go too far? Because I sometimes wonder that people's fear of truthfulness is based upon the potential swing of going too far the other way, where someone's being told things they can't hear, it's too much, it's like, you give the example of you're in a shop and there's the clerk behind the counter, and if what's going through your brain is they're fat or they're this, and you go, how are you? I think you're fat. It would be inappropriate, insensitive, and cruel to, and yet there's the place where we use that to then take away all truth. Is there anything you can say about clarifying the place of authenticity with appropriateness?
Yeah. So nobody is an expert. I'm not an expert. I'm doing the best I can, and it just depends on what your priority is, and what your interest is in life. So I know for me that I had to go through a period of time where I needed to just say everything, and a lot of it was probably inappropriate, and you know, I don't feel great about that.
Sure.
Looking back, but I know now where the edge is, and at least to some degree, and so we are experimenting. We're trying it out, and that's what's good about doing it in a group environment, because the people who come are willing to be in that situation. So you're not talking to the clerk at the supermarket. You're with a bunch of people who have made an agreement to be in this process, and you will hear some things that you might not want to hear, and it's kind of the part of it. That is how it works. It's someone says something to me, and I don't want to hear it in some way, and I will be honest about that. I'll say, that didn't feel good, and maybe some other people in the group will say, yeah, that didn't sound so good.
Yeah.
Or they might say, well, you know, I liked what that person said, and so I get to see my own reaction.
Yes.
To what's being said to me, and that's really the gift is what's going on for me. How am I responding to this situation?
Yeah. Remarkably, we're out of time. I wanted to touch on, which I guess we can cover elsewhere also. Really, what I feel like I'm hearing you say is that it's being more committed to truth than it is being comfortable. That's really kind of part of it.
Said.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Ryan. And thank you for watching. And we look forward to talking with you again, hopefully very, very soon. Bye-bye.